Welcome to the Aro Benaiah Show, the podcast where we dive into grit, growth, and real stories behind blue-collar entrepreneurs and leaders who build their success from the ground up. Today's guest is someone who truly embodies the spirit of resilience and reinvention. Jordan Mendoza is the founder and CEO of Blaze Your Own Trail Consulting, a LinkedIn and sales strategy who has helped countless entrepreneurs grow their brands, build influence, and scale their business. He's also the host of Blaze Your Own Trail podcast, which rank top 2% globally, and author of Life-Changing Power of Adversity, where he shares how life's toughest moments can become fuel for success. With over 30 years in sales and decades digital marketing, Jordan is a proof that adversity doesn't define you. How you respond to it does. Jordan, it's really a pleasure having you on the show.
Yes, thank you so much for the kind intro, and I appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, thank you, Jordan. So, Jordan, what was it like growing up?
Man, well, the early years were, I'm not gonna lie, were a little wild. I grew up in the Pacific Northwest in Portland, Oregon, and I was raised by a mother that had one lung, and so she faced a lot of her own adversity, trouble breathing, eventually on oxygen. I also didn't really have a great role model growing up. My stepdad was an alcoholic. He was abusive, in and out of jail. We were on government housing, government food. So really, if you look back at the early years, it didn't look so great. But our mom did show us a lot of love, and she showed us that you don't have to be a victim
Yeah.
of your circumstance, even though your situation may look bleak. You can still have a positive attitude and a positive mindset, and that's where I really got a lot of that from. Is I saw her suffer so much and still have a smile on her face and still figure out ways to provide for us, and that was a really great example to have.
Wow, that was really, really amazing. The fact that despite all the setback, you're still very optimistic. So, what helped you develop that mindset despite the setback, despite you see those particular things? How did you come to develop it? I know you saw your mom over time, but I know it will not be a struggle for you earlier
Yep.
on before you get to master it.
Yeah. So one of the gifts that we got, me and my brothers, is when we were younger, is my mom started sending us on a church van to a church, an Assembly of God church, and that's when I started to learn about, my heavenly Father, Jesus Christ. I started to learn about the Bible, started to learn about, all these things that we weren't really exposed to before. My mom, was a Catholic,
Yeah,
and in that religion, it's very stand up, sit down, go up, and give your confession. And that's not really a conducive religion for children, because we want Bible studies, we want music and things like that. So I was very grateful that she sent us, because I got saved at a young age, and knowing that I don't have to do things on my own, that I have access to the Holy Spirit, and that God is going to protect me, and He's never going to put me through something that I can't handle.
yeah, amazing, amazing. I think such more like a comfort at that particular earlier age was really, really reassuring, being that there was a whole lot that was happening in your mind during that period. So before
Yeah.
becoming a CEO, you spent decades in sales. What key lessons from that experience still guide you as an entrepreneur?
Oh man, so many lessons in sales, and actually, I would challenge any one of your listeners, if you want to get good at something, go knock on 100 doors in a day, and because you're gonna find out really about humanity. Some people are rude,
Yeah,
some people are nice, some people will pull a weapon on you, some people will send their dogs after you. So you really get a chance to meet yourself, because that's the truth about adversity, is it really introduces us to who we are and what we can handle. And the one guarantee in life is that we're going to face adversity. We just don't know when, we just don't know how, we don't know what it's going to look like. And so sales introduces you to yourself, because you have to keep going. You almost have to have amnesia after every door, because if someone yells at you and it affects your smile on the next door, guess what? They're going to say no
yeah,
too. And so there's a lot of mindset games when it comes to sales. And I quickly learned that if I could smile, if I could give good eye contact and remain enthusiastic, it exponentially increases my chances of getting a sale.
amazing, amazing. So true. So Were they was there more like a specific moment when you realized it's time for me to blaze my own trail?
Yeah, so I was just on another podcast and I kind of shared with them that in truth, I've been blazing trails since I was a kid. You know, when you grow up poor, you don't have money, you have to be scrappy, you have to
Yeah.
be resourceful. So I would figure out ways to collect cans to turn those in for money, or I would knock on people's doors and ask them for stuff, or go try to rake leaves or sell baseball cards. You know, so I've always been blazing trails. I just didn't know what for, right? I hadn't figured it out yet, and so the realization came to me when I was about 8 years in to my corporate career, and I started to really dive into professional development. They were paying for me to get training and coaching. And in that time, I took some assessments that have really changed my life. You know, I took the Myers Briggs Type Indicator, the MBTI assessment, which shares with you your 4-letter personality type,
Mm.
and you take a real introspective look at who you are and how you're wired. That was a game changer for me. I also took an assessment called Emotional Intelligence 2.0 that showed me where my EQ was. And then I took a third assessment called Strength Finders,
Wow.
which populates your top 5 strengths. And so if you can imagine, if you understand how you're wired, if you can understand where your EQ level is and how to grow in it, and then also understand your strengths and actually go apply those things, it's amazing the results that you can have.
Wow. Really, really amazing. The fact that you were this very curious to actually more like go all ahead to get this result, it really shows that you're resilient. And yeah, this is really, really very lovely. So many of my listeners work in trade and service industries. How can someone with no market background start creating their own opportunity the way you did?
Well, in 2025, at least the time we're recording this episode, most people have a device like this.
Yeah.
Okay. This device is how you market yourself because most people, even in countries that are more underserved, have access to the internet. So if you have access to the internet and you have a device, then there's no excuse for you to become visible. The only person that's in your way is yourself. And so, my advice to everybody is start to think about your life, think about your experiences. What have you gone through? And just start talking about it online. You know, share a video on a certain channel. If you have a specific goal of where you want to be, go and research and see what other people are doing, and then leverage your own personality and start talking about that online because the name of the game in 2026 and beyond is, are you visible or not? Because if people don't know who you are and you're the best kept secret in your city or your town, then you're never going to get to where you want to be.
Yeah, so true, so true. I think becoming an authority in the field you're looking forward to now speak volume. While you're learning, you must be visible because if you cannot be seen or you cannot be searched, that means there's not much to what you're doing, and this really speak volume. So you often say adversity can be your greatest teacher. What do people usually misunderstood about that?
Yeah, so man, adversity has taught me so many different things. You know, one of when I was in 4th grade, we had this big picnic at a park called Pier Park, and at this picnic, there was just a bunch of different games happening. There was baseball, soccer, tetherball back when that was legal in the United States, and it was just a fun picnic. And I was playing baseball. I was up to bat, and I swung and I missed the ball, and I spun in a circle, and the bat flew out of my hand and landed under a big Douglas fir tree. And when I went over Aro to go pick up the bat, I stood up and there was a literal beehive on my head.
Ouch!
And so I started getting stung by bees like crazy. I was running away. I was doing somersaults trying to get the bees off me. Kids were running away. I mean, it was like a movie scene.
Yeah.
Teachers were running away. Eventually, some of the good teachers grabbed these big coolers and dumped them on my head, and everyone started picking bees all off my body. I got stung 53 bees in
Ouch!
4th grade. And the lesson about surviving that adversity, what that taught me was everybody reacts different in chaos. When there's chaos, you have some people that run from, and you have some people that run to. And so that was very, very clear to me on that day to see that some people didn't want to be involved. They didn't want to get stung either. I don't blame them. But other people jumped in to help. And so everyone has a different personality type. And I was able to clearly see where people were in that day.
Wow.
And also, I
Amazing.
learned that I was not allergic to bees. So that was a good day to find that out. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. Adversity can be such a great teacher, being that you're not just seeing your own perspective alone, but you're going to see perspective of all how they get to react. And this is really a lovely takeaway. So, how do you coach people to use pain or failure as motivation instead of discouragement?
Yeah, so there's a quote that I used to use until I realized that it was not helping anybody. And you may have heard this quote, and don't use this by the way, but for example's sake, I'm going to share it. It's called "Fake it till you make it." Worst
Hmm.
advice you could give anybody. So I came up with my own quote a couple years ago, and I posted it, and it went viral on LinkedIn, and it said, "Face it until you make it."
Mm,
That's how you get through
so
adversity,
true.
is you can't go around it, you can't go over it, you have to go through it, okay? Because have to feel the pain again, which is not very fun to deal with, and then you have to figure out, how do I get to the other side? And it's always through. You got to go through it to get to the other side.
Wow, wow, amazing. Face it till you make it. Oh, wow, wow. I think that is more like a lovely perspective compared to the fake it most people go with till you make it, because fake it most times does not show that you are learning anything. It only shows avoidance, being that because at the end of the day, the making it is not a guarantee, being that there is no principle that is being backing up that faking it till you make it, compared to face it, face your problem, face all of it, face all the problem. And
Yep.
I think facing it alone even just increase the perspective of what you could do different to get out of that situation. And yeah, pretty amazing. So what is one example of your life where setback become a stepping stone for something better?
Yeah, so I would say one of those setbacks when my wife and I started dating. I was about 22. She was, I believe, 20 at the time. And she told me a story about when she was younger. She had some very terrible things happen to her. She was raped, she was molested multiple times. It was people that were close to her. And because of the damage that was caused, she would not be able to bear children. And man, that was a tough pill to swallow, because I wanted to be a father. And so I just said, you know what? I care about her. Like, let's just see how this plays out. And about a handful of months later, oh, she actually got pregnant. And
Woo!
so now I'm like, well, wait a second. Like, you're not supposed to be able to have kids. What's going on? And so now we're getting excited because there's going to be this potential new life. And about a month in, she started to feel pain in her side, and she went to the doctor. And unfortunately, we lost the baby. And man, you want to talk about an up and a down. Oh, we went from not being able to have kids to now there's a possibility to now this possibility is gone. And so we did what we knew to do, and that was needed to go to God. We need to go to church. We need to
Yeah.
give this to God. And if this was supposed to be, it would happen again. And I'm proud to say that by the grace of God, you fast forward 20 plus years later, we now have 6 children. We have four
Woo!
boys. We have
Wow.
2 girls,
Glory,
from
glory.
1 year old to 20 years old. And so God is good, right? The doctor said it wasn't possible, and God had other plans. And so that would probably be one of the biggest turnarounds, where you see the miracles of how good is God, the goodness of God, because we went from 0 and not the possibility to +6, all healthy, all natural childbirth, no epidurals. I mean, you just couldn't have written that story any other way.
Wow, glory. Wow, that was pretty really amazing. And I'm so glad hearing that testimony. Yeah, it just shows that there's a whole lot that this possibility can bring. And the fact that you're able to kind of see through it, that will reinforce your faith, and that will reinforce what is possible, compared to if you didn't actually more like face it, you give it up by saying no. Since there's no possibility of this, why should I even go along with this relationship? And yeah, this is really pretty amazing. I'm glad to hear this. So, how do you help your clients identify the lessons hidden in their hard season?
Yeah, it's by having them share their own story. And so I make them go back into the past. And the advice I give them is, the past is not meant for you to go and stay there.
Hmm.
It's meant for you to dive back into, not to dwell, but to extract. Because the more lessons that you can extract, as long as you've truly learned from them, your tests become your testimony. And you've heard it through this podcast. All the pain, all the suffering, all the things are now my testimony, and it's what I help people with. So the things that you thought were the detriment to you as a human are actually the very thing that gives you your strength.
Wow, that's really, really amazing. So you are now a father of six, and how has fatherhood shaped your views of leadership and resilience?
Man, it's made me realize that I'm not the smartest guy in the room. You know, that I don't know it all, and they will be very quick to tell you how much you don't know, and they keep you on your toes, and I will also say this, we're 20 years in and we still don't know what we're doing.
Wow.
So if you're a aspiring parent or a new parent out there, just know you were never going to be able to truly figure out kids. Because I'm still truly at 40, almost 45 years old, I still feel like I'm a kid myself.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, amazing, amazing. So you grow over 6,000 followers and millions of content view on LinkedIn organically. What sparked that journey in 2019?
Oh man, so it was right in the heart of that professional development journey I was talking about, and I just had this muster of courage in me that said, the information that I have, if I just keep all of this to myself, what good does it do? Like, I have
Mm,
all this sales experience, I have all this life experience. Why don't I actually start making short videos? And so I joined this 30-day video challenge where it was 30 videos in 30 days. And that gave me the confidence that I could do it because every day I challenged myself that on the morning of, I would come up with the video I was going to do and shoot it in that moment. And so it gave me this innate ability to be able to think on my feet, come up with a topic, and I told myself that my goal is to do it in one take every time. I'm not going to do any editing. I'm just going to show up and be as organic as I could. And that has paid it's like worth its weight in gold now because I proved that I could do it and I've built this model that shows other people that it's possible as well, that you don't need to be well known. You don't need to be someone famous. In fact, you just need to start sharing and adding value to people and sharing good information, and you can build a really big audience. And outside of LinkedIn, we built audiences. I'm a verified creator on TikTok. I've built audiences on YouTube, on Facebook, on Instagram, on Clapper. I think accumulatively a couple 100,000 followers, but it's not about the numbers, it's about the impact for me. And
yeah,
so the more people that I can have in my sphere of influence, the more people that I can
yeah.
share this mission of blazing trails with.
Wow, amazing, amazing. So what is one simple but powerful change anyone can make today to improve their LinkedIn presence?
Yes, the biggest change that you can make is you can do a top to bottom audit and make shifts and changes to transform your LinkedIn profile from a resume to an actual sales page that sells for you 24 hours a day.
Mm,
Because here's the truth about LinkedIn, there are people using it 24 hours a day. So if your page is not set up for success from banner to your skill sets, it's not selling for you, telling the right story, reaching the right people in that capacity, then you're leaving opportunities, you're leaving partnerships, you're leaving money, you're leaving so many things on the table. So I would say, whether it's working with me because I help people optimize their profile or whether it's finding somebody else, that's the best investment you can make is making sure that your foundations are optimized. Because just like when you're building a house, if your banner isn't looking good, if your the headline text isn't dialed in with keywords, service statement, call to action. If you're not featuring what you want people to find, if all those things aren't cohesive and dialed in, you can put out a bunch of content, but if they come back to foundations that aren't firm, you're not going to convert.
yeah.
So that's the first step that I would say for anybody is get your profile optimized. And if I can help and add any value, I'm sure Ara will give my contact information somewhere and reach out. I'd love to add value if I can.
Wow, amazing, amazing. So for people in blue collar or hands-on business, what is the smartest way to tell their stories online without feeling too salesy?
Yeah, if you're not confident on being on camera, then don't be. Okay, what I mean by that is if you're in the trades, like say you're a construction worker or you're in maintenance, show the process. You can do a voiceover of your voice showcasing the activity or the video that you're doing. So there's other ways to do it. Now, if you're comfortable on camera and you don't mind being on camera, definitely be on camera because video is king and people get to see your
Yeah.
personality. They hear your voice tonality. They see your facial expressions because truthfully, body language is only 7% of what we say and 93% of facial expressions and body language. So video gives you this advantage over just your voice.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing. Amazing. Well, thank you for actually more like giving that advice. So what are the biggest mistake entrepreneur make when trying to grow their audience on LinkedIn or social media?
Not asking for help because if somebody has been there and has done it, then they can collapse the timeline for you getting there. There's something called opportunity cost. And what that means is just imagine your average customer pays you $1,000 and you struggle to find customers each month and you're wasting time by not acquiring customers. Well, if you can get a strategy that teaches you how to acquire those customers consistently, that's better than spinning your wheels and wasting valuable time and valuable money when you could have invested and got there a lot quicker.
Yeah, wow, wow. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Yeah, thank you for that. So you have helped people launch and monetize newsletter. What make a newsletter worth reading and subscribing to?
To me, newsletter that's worth reading is one that's short.
Yeah,
Because in 2025 our attention spans have diminished significantly, and so my advice is build your newsletters to be very quick, very actionable, and to the point. Because all the people that have newsletters that are more than 3 to 5 minute reads, I can guarantee you they're not getting
yeah,
read throughout. The emails are probably open rates are lower and they're not converting. And so keep it short and to the point and the other thing is when you're segmenting your sentence structure, I would have a max of 1 to 2 line sentences because I'm way more willing to invest
yeah.
in 1 to 2 line sentences versus big
Big
paragraphs.
billboard,
And
yeah.
most people are the same way.
Yeah, so true, so true. I think I find similar thing when I'm going through emails, especially those who just fit in perfectly according to how you said. I get to kind of stick more, even look forward to their email compared to the one that bundled it and the paragraph is so long. I get bored, I get tired, and most time I just close it. Yeah, this really speaks volume. So you have actually helped people launch and monetize. Okay, make reference of these. What inspired you to start Blaze, your own trade podcast, and what has been your most surprising lessons from hosting it?
Actually, a funny story. I started Blaze Your Own Trail podcast a year before I started Blaze Your Own Trail Consulting. And it was at the encouragement of guests that I was interviewing, very successful entrepreneurs that kept saying, hey, why don't you have a business? Why aren't you coaching people? Why aren't you teaching people? Because they recognize things that I didn't see in myself. And so that's actually what inspired me and encouraged me to go do it. And so I started first coaching people for free. And then my wife said, hey, you're on a lot of calls. Was anybody paying you? I said, no. She said, you might want to change that. And so that's when the first offer was born. I launched a 12-week coaching program for LinkedIn. And I was, helping people go from optimizing to monetizing over the course of 12 weeks. And as far as the podcast is concerned, that started out very slow. I remember we used to get, 20 to 30 downloads every single month. And actually this month alone, we've hit almost 400,000 during the month
Ooh,
of October. So
amazing.
it's very wild to see the trajectory when you don't give up because in January, we're about to celebrate our 6th anniversary.
Wow, wow, this is really amazing. So, as someone who has actually interviewed many leaders, what common mindsets do you see among those who truly succeed?
Yeah, so the mindset that I see is people that, don't make excuses
Mm,
are very successful, because again, setbacks are going to happen. You can't use those as excuses. You just got to keep moving forward. It's people that come to the table with a problem and a solution for that problem. I see they have a competitive advantage. And then also people that surround themselves with like-minded people. So they immerse themselves in masterminds and communities. They're willing to invest in themselves. We're the best investment that we can make outside of investing in a relationship with Jesus Christ. We got to invest in us, because if we invest in us, then other people are going to invest in us as well.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. Thanks a whole lot for that. So, how has podcasting helped you grow personally and professionally?
Oh man, is it has helped me tremendously from a communication standpoint. Before podcasting, I thought I was a really good communicator, but since I've now recorded over 10,000 hours of
Oh,
content through the podcast, I've become a way better communicator, not just virtually, but it's translated to speaking on stages globally, and being able to encourage and inspire people in a larger capacity. It has added so much value. It's added, multiple revenue streams for the show itself and for my business. It's one of the best things that I've
wow.
ever done.
Wow, this is really amazing. Just hearing it as a podcaster is it's amazing. So you balance multiple roles, CEO, coach, author, speaker, and dad. How did you maintain focus and avoid burnout?
I think it's because of, God made me with ADHD, and it's a
Mm,
superpower if you know how to leverage it right. And so I actually thrive in chaos. I need a lot going on in order to thrive. If you give me one kind of set task to focus on, I get stuck. So
yeah,
actually the chaos is good for me. I enjoy it, and there are certain personality types that don't enjoy that, right? That
yeah.
they need one thing to focus on. So actually, the fact that I have, a couple companies, podcasts, newsletters, multiple children, and multiple ventures actually suits me very well.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, amazing, amazing. I'm glad it seems God knows everything. I think sometimes he made some things before we even understood why he actually more like come into being. And the fact that he has even strengthens you to actually make do of it very well. And this is very lovely hearing from you. So finally, what is your biggest piece of advice for listeners who are in the middle of adversity right now and those that are fighting to blaze their own trail?
Yeah, I would actually say give them a quote, and you'll find this quote in my book as well. But the quote is: "The struggle might be real, but the good news is that every struggle comes with a free gift called a lesson."
Oh,
And so our job is to extract that lesson and leverage it to help propel us forward. So if you're in a season right now, right, because we're always in seasons, there are peaks, there are valleys. We're either going up to the top of the mountain, or we're on a descent. That's just the way that life is going to go. It's always going to constantly be this ebb and flow. And so when you're in the pits or the doldrum, there's only one way to go but up. And when you're at the top, you need to stretch your hand down and help people get up there with you. And so that's why for me, my mission is to help and serve people and add more value than I get back in
yeah.
return.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. And thank you very much for that. The fact that you make reference of coming out from every adversity, there is a key lesson so that everyone gets to learn. And those lessons are very pivotal towards their growth and how to build success later on. And this is very key. So, Jordan, tell us about your book and what kind of audience gains from it, reaching out. Just tell us about it.
Yes, yeah. So the book, it's the life-changing power of adversity, how
Yeah.
to overcome struggles, unlock your potential, and blaze your own trail to success. This book is for anyone that, you really feel like you're meant for more. Maybe you're in a job that you don't feel like you're valued. Maybe you have a business idea God's placed on your heart, and you just don't know how to take action because things that happened in your past are still weighing you down. This book is for you. It's not only going to give you resources that are actionable, it's going to show you that through my own personal stories and journey, that if I can do it, so can you.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's all we need, right? We need someone to say, so can you. You can do it too. If I can do this, if I can survive this, if I can go through this and get to the other side, then you can do it too. And that's really my message, because I believe that anybody can blaze a trail, but sometimes they feel like they have to do it alone, and you don't have to. You can do it with support. You can do it with guidance, whether that's hiring somebody or listening to a podcast. And there's so many resources out there in 2025. You just go to YouTube and type in a subject and you can find all the information you need. But the biggest piece is don't just consume,
Yeah,
go take
amazing,
action on what you
amazing.
learn.
Sorry, the network just kicked me out at one point, and I'm glad that I'm back. Okay, yeah, Jordan. So tell us, how can my audience learn more about you? How can they do business with you, and where is the best platform to do this?
Yeah, I would say the two best places to find more about me, you can find the book. It's available on all major book platforms. If you're an Amazon Prime user or a Kindle Unlimited subscriber, we've priced the book at $0 on Kindle Unlimited. So if you subscribe, you can literally get access to the content for free. If you want to purchase the Kindle version, it's less than $5, and the soft cover is just $20. The hardcover is 25. And then also you can find my podcast. It's byotpod.com. We've got 100 and almost 160 episodes. Find some content. I've got solo episodes. I've got interviews from athletes, authors, celebrities as well. And there's something for everybody there. And every episode, the whole goal is to add value in some
Yeah,
capacity. So I appreciate you, Aro, for hosting me. Thanks for the opportunity to share.
yeah, thank you, Jordan. Jordan, your stories is powerful. It's a reminder that hardest seasons of life often lead to most impactful work. Thank you for showing us how adversity can become the advantage that change everything. To our listener, if you are inspired with this conversation, grab a copy of Jordan's book, The Life-Changing Power of Adversity, on Amazon, and connect with him on LinkedIn at blazeyourowntradeconsulting.com. Remember, success isn't about avoiding obstacles. It's about how you grow through them. Keep building, keep showing up, and keep blazing your own trail. I'm Aro Benaiah, and this has been the Aro Benaiah Show. I'll see you in the next episode. And once again, it's a pleasure and an honor having you on the show, Jordan.
Thank you for having me.